It's so. Can I say on our running order? It says Man City are champions. Yawn. I don't know about you guys, but if something says yawn or someone says yawn, I immediately started. I actually am starting to yawn involuntarily. It will look like it's put on. It's not. But I think that's quite a general reaction, isn't it, Mike? It's all a bit boring. I think maybe it was spoiled a little bit by the fact that in the end they didn't have to fight for it. Arsenal handed it to them even before the final week by losing to Nottingham Forest. Just like, is anyone enjoying it anymore, Mike?
I think so. I think the different caveat to this versus some of the other previous seasons is the fact that City could do something they've never done before after this Premier League title has been secured. The talk of a treble being secured in Manchester for the blue half for the first time ever in club history. I think that's what gives us a different sort of feel of, oh my gosh, they've done this. Can they go in the next month and do the unthinkable? And they have, I mean, this is a team this year that have the Premier League's greatest single season goal scorer in Erling Haaland. And I think when you have things like that, and you have just kind of that goal machine, the way they've really turned it up in the last 3 months, it gives a little different feel to this. But, 5 out of the last 6, there is a bit of a yawn factor for me. But I think the bigger storyline about this season is there's a new contender in the mix in Arsenal. That, I think, is the biggest storyline, is Arsenal pushed them towards the very end. But at the end of the day, they did give them the title.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different ways that we can look at this. You can look at it with respect to City for what they might be able to achieve in the coming weeks. The treble for the first time since 1999, which I know that Mike will be sweating and hoping that United can take the FA Cup away from them so that they don't equal that historic feat. But, I do think that, obviously, it is a shame that Arsenal weren't able to get it over the line, because that would have given, some sort of new excitement factor to the Premier League. Obviously, it felt quite underwhelming towards the end, as James already said, with, results from Arsenal basically handing it to City. But equally at the same time, this City side in the last couple of months, they've really come into their own, and to see them potentially dominate, on the continent as well as, domestically. You'd have to say that it's finally sort of time to recognize that they are, the best assembled, and best performing team, in European football at this moment in time, which we felt for quite a while that they probably have been, but obviously, the titles haven't shown that. We did expect them to win the Champions League back in 2021 when Chelsea beat them narrowly. But, it does really now just feel like it's City's time. So while I'm with Mike in that there is a little bit of a yawn factor, and it would have been nice to have Arsenal sort of, put the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak, equally, you do have to sort of, take your hat off to what Guardiola and City have managed to do finally, because it is something we've been talking about them potentially being able to do for a year or so now, at least.
Love these comments coming in for Ed. Worry for you here, Mike. He thinks Inter are more likely to win than Manchester United. Ed, I agree with you, mate. I don't see Manchester United.
To be honest, I think Mike agrees with him, no?
Yeah,
exactly. Anyone does.
Given what I've seen as of late,
Mike has also been drinking the Inter Kool-Aid by the gallon.
Do we know Ed's surname?
It's
quite interesting.
Ed's Load.
Ed's my cousin.
Another one here. Ed, congrats to Pep, but we all know how manager of the season, right? Matt as well, pretty not optimistic on the chance of a title next season. Now, Mike, Arsenal won't catch City napping the same way again next season. And I mean, that's the thing, is like City had a little bit of a nap this season. They were slow out of the blocks, and yet it looks like they're going to end up on 94 points. It's, these are impossible standards. And I think we kind of almost have to say, I mean, remember as great as that Liverpool team were that won one title and pushed City close several years, that's one season where they did win the title. City just didn't get out of the blocks at all. Liverpool, it was a procession. They'd won it before COVID happened. I think I'm firmly of the view that next season, the only team that can bottle the league is Man City. The only team that should start as, even a realistic contender for the league is Man City. It's Man City's to lose every year now until something changes. And of course, we know with those 115 alleged breaches of Premier League rules, something could change, something dramatic. But I mean, I want to come on to Ed's statement about Eddie Howe, but it also kind of tees us up for something a little bit different as well. Question from producer Des here. He said, which current Premier League managers could win the league with this City squad? I thought, don't like that question. I change that question because I'm the host and I get to do things like that. So I'm going to start with JJ, then Mike, and then I'll give my own suggestion. Jonathan Johnson, which current Premier League manager couldn't win the league with this City squad? I'm really worried this one's going to take my answer.
I mean, the obvious candidate, I guess, given that he's been brought in to save Leeds United and he doesn't look like he's going to succeed at that job at this moment in time, would probably be somebody like a Sam Allardyce. But has he been in the Premier League long enough this season to sort of judge him based on that? I don't know about it. I mean, I'd certainly feel
you'd like to see him try.
I would like to see him try. I don't think there's anyone in this chat that wouldn't like to see him try. And obviously he would like to have a crack at it as well, based on some of his comments in a press conference recently. But no, I mean, if I was to sort of keep it closer to home, I definitely have more confidence in Unai Emery managing to win the league with this City squad than I would have done his predecessor, Steven Gerrard. So I think I know who James is going to go with as the candidate who wouldn't be able to lead City to it, but I'm gonna hand it over to him to do the big unveil.
No, go on, Mike. Let's see if you beat me to it.
I feel like I'm going to beat you to it. He's in charge of Chelsea. There's only one person. It's Vic's boy, Super Frank Lampard. This guy, he's got more of the Drake curse than I do, just peeling different L's, taking L's on the chin for Chelsea. I mean, even if you gave him 2 Erling Haalands, I still think he'd find a way to mess it up. Doesn't know his Chelsea team. Don't think he'd even know the City team if you gave him the keys to the castle.
Yes, you did take mine. Frank Lampard is, in my view, and I don't want to spoil our chat to come in the second half, but Frank Lampard is, in my view, the worst manager in the Premier League right now. If it weren't for one other, I think you could make a good case for him being the worst manager in Premier League history. I think I'm allowed Nathan Jones as the manager that couldn't win the He was in charge of a Premier League team this season. I know it feels like a lifetime ago. I'm sure it doesn't for Southampton fans who are still waiting. A friend of mine, colleague Alan Smith at the Mirror, did this on Frank Lampard, which I really like. Frank Lampard left Everton when they were 19th in the table. In a table of results since he stepped back in at Chelsea, they are 18th. Everton are 16th. Everton under Lampard played 20, won 3, drew 6, lost 13, 0.75 points per game. Chelsea under Lampard played 7, won 1, drawn 1, lost 5, just over half a point a game. Yeah, I mean, Mike, frankly, is right. The worst manager in the Premier League. Lot of love for one manager, though, that could win. A couple of the comments as well. Ed, Vic, everyone's gone for the same for the manager that couldn't, but for the manager that could win, Roberto De Zerbi, he definitely could do it. And a little bit of love. We spoke about their rivals, or somewhat rivals for the top 6, Aston Villa. But what a job Roberto De Zerbi has done this season, taking Brighton into the top 6, building in a position where he knows that, players like Trossard were taken from him. They'd lost the coaching staff. They'd lost Cucurella. They'd lost so much, and they've grown exponentially. Really hope we get to enjoy the right version of Brighton next season. It certainly looks like McAllister is Liverpool bound. Caicedo as well could leave. But Mike, do you think they can, considering the recruitment they've done before, do you think they can weather that storm and come back and do well in Europe and the Premier League?
I think it's going to go down to the recruitment. That's how they've gotten to this point, is recruiting talent from Latin America. And you look at some of the countries that they've gone to. Enciso comes in from Paraguay. I think he's been an absolute hit for them, especially late on in this season. Alexis McAllister and Moises Caicedo. These are players that, McAllister had more of a pedigree, but these are players that the Brighton staff, especially under Graham Potter, they did their homework. And De Zerbi, he's used to doing quality recruitment when he was in Italy with Sassuolo. He's no different to coming in and really guiding young players to take them to the next level. I applaud him for the job he's done, because it's not just replacing the likes of Trossard. It's really implementing your style of play. I mean, he's gone from playing a back 3 that Graham Potter used to play to getting this team to play a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. I expect them to have continued success in light of losing some big players.